All right, let's talk about something we've all seen, something that makes your heart jump into your throat for a second, those big, red Google security warnings. What are they really all about? Well, today we're going to decode Google's digital shield and figure out what these things actually mean. You know the feeling, right? You're just clicking a link, everything's normal, and then bam, this giant red screen just pops up out of nowhere. It completely stops you, and you just think, oh no, is my computer infected? Did I click on something terrible? That gut reaction is exactly where we're going to start.
So this is the big question we're tackling. What are these warnings, really, and why do they even show up? Because I'll tell you right now, they're not just some random glitch. They are a very specific, very intentional system that's designed to protect you. And by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly how it works.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the tech behind that alarming red screen. Then, we're going to dive into the very real risks of what happens if you ignore it. After that, we'll decode the different kinds of threats you might see and give you a clear action plan. And we'll finish up by talking about how to be proactive with your digital safety. Let's get into it. Okay, Section 1, that alarming red screen. You got to remember, this isn't a bug in the system, it's a feature. Let's pull back the curtain and look at the pretty incredible technology that's working around the clock to keep you safe. So, at its core, a Google security warning is basically your own personal digital shield. It's an alert that comes from a massive system called safe browsing, and its one and only job is to be the barrier between you and all the nasty stuff out there. We're talking harmful websites, tricky phishing scams, and dangerous downloads.
And the scale of this whole operation is, well, it's just mind-boggling. I mean, take a guess. How many websites do you think Google's safe browsing scans every single day? The answer is billions, with the B. It is a constant, massive effort to map out all the dangerous parts of the internet in real time.
So what actually sets off these alarms? Well, it usually boils down to one of 5 things. There might be malware lurking on the site, or it could be a phishing attack trying to trick you into giving up your passwords. It could also be a site with an unsecure connection, or one with deceptive content. And sometimes, it's a perfectly good website that has, unfortunately, been hacked. All right, now for the serious part. Understanding the tech is one thing, but knowing the real-world stakes, that's what really drives the point home. This is why you should never, ever just click past these warnings. Look, the line between one bad click and a real-world disaster is shockingly thin. If the warning's about malware, you're looking at potentially having your data stolen, your computer taken over, or even your files locked up by ransomware. And if it's a phishing site, you could be dealing with identity theft, money disappearing from your bank account, and losing access to your online life. This stuff happens all the time. And you know, it's not just about us as individuals. The fallout for businesses can be absolutely devastating. Just think about it. Once a business website gets flagged, customer trust just evaporates. That warning screen becomes this giant wall that scares away customers, and that can tank a company's reputation and its income. Okay, so we know these warnings are a big deal. Now, let's learn how to read them. Because not all warnings are created equal. Understanding the different types helps you know exactly what kind of danger you're up against. First up, the one we all know, the big red screen. This is Google's highest level of alert. When you see this, it means Google is pretty darn sure that the site you're trying to visit is an immediate threat. We're talking active malware infections or really convincing phishing traps ready to steal your info the second you land on the page. And the text on the screen doesn't mess around. It's going to say something direct like, deceptive site ahead, or the site ahead contains malware. There's absolutely no room for confusion. Google is basically yelling at you to stop and go back. Now, another common warning you'll see is about the connection itself. If you get a message like, your connection is not private, it means the website isn't using proper encryption. Think of it like sending a postcard instead of a sealed letter. Anyone along the way could read what you're sending, whether it's a password or your credit card details. And finally, you might get a suspicious download alert. Now, these are a little different because they're not about the website itself, but about a specific file you're trying to download. If you try to grab a program, especially one of those .exe files, from a sketchy source, your browser might just step in and warn you that the file itself could be harmful. Okay, so now that we can read the threats, what do we actually do? This next section is all about action. We're going to break down a super practical step-by-step plan for both everyday internet users and for the folks who actually own and run websites. Let's start with the action plan for, well, probably most of us, the regular users just trying to get through the day online. What should you do in that split second after a warning pops up? Here is a simple 4-step plan. Number 1, and this is the most important, just don't proceed. Click that big Back to Safety button. Easy. Second, take a quick peek at the URL. Does it look weird? Are there misspellings? Third, it's never a bad idea to run a quick antivirus scan, just to be safe. And finally, you can be a good internet citizen and take 2 seconds to report the bad site to Google.
Now, let's flip the script. What if you're on the other side of this? What if it's your website that's been flagged with a big red warning? The steps are different, but you've got to act just as fast.
For all you website owners out there, your first move is to log into your Google Search Console. That's where Google will tell you exactly what it found. Then comes the cleanup. You've got to find and remove any malware, make sure you're using HTTPS, and patch up any security holes. Once you're sure your site is clean, you can officially ask Google for a review to get that warning taken down.
Look, knowing how to react to a fire alarm is important, but it's even better to not start a fire in the first place, right? So in our last section, we're going to switch from being reactive to being proactive. Let's talk about the habits that can help you avoid these warnings altogether.
You know, building safer habits really just comes down to making a few smart choices over and over, like always looking for that little lock icon and using HTTPS sites instead of HTTP, only downloading things from sources you actually trust, actually doing the browser updates when they pop up instead of hitting ignore, and just taking a half second to hover over a link to see where it's really going before you click. These little things make a world of difference.
And the good news is you don't have to do it all by yourself. There are some amazing tools out there that can seriously boost your safety. A good antivirus program is pretty much non-negotiable these days. A password manager is your best defense against phishing. A VPN can protect you on public Wi-Fi, and there are even browser extensions that can automatically force safer connections. Think of it like adding extra layers of armor.
So let's wrap this all up. That scary red warning screen, it's not your enemy. It's your digital shield, and it is actively working to protect you. Once you understand that, it stops being scary and starts being empowering. So the only question left is, now that you know how the shield works, are you ready to take control of your digital security?